To be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, I love Iggy Scorch. Ever since I played Heroes of the Storm, I loved Gazlowe, who is also turret-based, and when Iggy Scorch came out, I went, OMG, he is perfect for me. And while I love him so much, I love his hero design, unfortunately, here in Monolith, he hasn't been too viable, and I haven't done a hero building guide for him just yet. Now, since 38.3 has come out with some cards that really complement his kit and a recent buff, he is a little bit more viable, and we are trying to see if we can pull him off. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a hero building guide. I am Sylphin. We start off by every hero building guide by looking at the numbers behind the heroes, and he is a caster. Iggy Scorch is a caster. 0.3 power scaling on his basic attack. His basic attack is really not that important, but it is important because you can use it while you are using your ultimate. Lots of people kind of forget that you can use your basic attack while you are using your ultimate. His right mouse button is his get away or close the gap ability. Gives you 100 movement speed for a short while with a 12-second cooldown, but a 40 mana cost. In the early game, yeah, that's fairly significant. In the late game, that's almost nothing. And guys, don't hesitate to use this movement speed. Use it appropriately, but if you can manage the 12-second cooldown, use it. It's really not that expensive. Q is his flame turret. What he's all about is that flame turret's 2.5 power scaling. It's a lot. A high power build with him gets a lot of value from his turrets. It's ridiculous. So at level 4, each turret deals 75 damage per second for 10 seconds, dealing 750 total damage. 4-second cooldown, so it's 4 seconds when you are putting down your turrets. 85 mana cost in the late game, and 55 in the early game. Not bad in the late game. In the early game, it does hurt with 3 turrets, so that's a potential of 2,250 damage. If an enemy stays in 3 turrets for the whole 10 seconds, it's a buttload of damage. With I just actually looked up with this build, those turrets are dealing 1,100 damage each over the 10-second period. It's pretty crazy. So they deal a lot of damage, and if you can make sure that they deal that damage to an enemy, it's quite significant. E is his long-range poke ability, or a little bit of a burst ability, as it gets 1.06 power scaling. So that's subpar for a caster ability, but at 245 damage with an 8-second cooldown, with a very nothing to laugh at mana cost, it's a good ability for a quick little bit of burst that you can apply on the enemy as well. His ultimate is pretty darn good as well. 1.56 power scaling. That's pretty good as a caster. Ultimate goes, I do believe, with 575 damage at level 3. It's significant. At a 60-second cooldown too. Don't forget to use it in a skirmish, even if you are, saving it for the team fight. 60 seconds, it's really not that long. With 150 mana cost, not that bad for an ultimate. So, what the numbers tell me, use your ultimate definitely when you need to, and even maybe when you don't. So numbers looks pretty darn good for him. Really honestly does. When it comes to casters, his numbers look pretty darn good. The rest of it though, he's a caster. Not much health. Health regen's average. Mana, caster. Mana regen, caster. Attack speed, none. Basic armor and ability error, just like a caster. He's squishy. With that said, he needs some health. As a caster that's very based around his turrets and, zoning an area and trying to keep an enemy in that area so that his turrets can do damage, well, he's going to take some damage and he needs some health on him as well. That's just a fact with Iggy in order to try to keep him relevant in today's meta. Now, if you are going to be building any sort of tank, any sort of sustain on a caster, then you need to take into consideration some of the math. Now, if we are going to assume that you take 50% basic damage and 50% ability damage, which is okay. I think we take a little bit more ability damage, to be honest with you, over the course of a, you know, of your average engagement. You need to consider that you need to spend a ton of CP into health before armor starts to become relevant. If 50% of your damage is basic damage and 50% ability damage, you need 20 CP of health. 24 technically before 1 CP of ability armor is even relevant. And as you can see here, 20 health. You're not going to be putting 20 health on your Iggy Scorch. Well, certainly could, but you still don't need armor. So for Iggy Scorch, basically because you need so much power in order to make him some sort of bursty in today's meta, you're not going to have that much CP to put into tank. So basically no armor. So here is the build Ankle Biter. Why do I call it Ankle Biter? Well, he's short and he bites ankles and he bites ankles. So Archmages, for that power, you need it to stay relevant. Simply put, that's why you get it. You start off the match there with a health potion and healer token to really make sure that you stay alive. Iggy Scorch, he's actually pretty damn good in the off lane, but you do really need the health potion and healer token to stay alive. Mana potion is an option if you so choose, if you don't anticipate a lot of poke from the enemy, team comp, what have you, that option is there. Of course, also in the mid lane as well. Next, you go for something different if you are in the off lane versus the mid lane. In the mid lane, you go definitely for your Sage's Ward, because you need that ward with those upgrades for sure. You need this ward. If you're in the off lane, and you're not necessarily too you know, worried about rotations or your ward and stuff, you can go for this Bloodburn Powder first. Why do I get it? It's basically the Fury equivalent of a Solaris reactor, except there's a CP's worth of attack speed on it, which is okay. Now, I want this mana regen. It is so important. This sustain is incredible. Get this mana regen. It's really worth it in the early game, because your turrets, your oil spill, your escape stuff, casters suffer mana issues in the early game, so this mana regen is beautiful. B-E-A, beautiful. After that, you can, in there, get a healer token if you want more health regen. If you really need it, it's really strong. Nothing wrong with having 2 healer tokens. The sustain is incredible, and you'll just be able to stay out there and farm, and that is really important. So that other healer token is there for sure. I tried it in the gameplay you'll see upcoming. It's actually really damn good. Next, we have some 1-point cards that are options. Adamant Edge, Elder Mage Amulet gives you some power and some health. Iggy Scorch, he's zone based. He needs to make sure that the enemy stays in his turrets. So if you can just kind of run around your turrets, taking damage though, you can it increases his viability. You really need this health here, and that I've tried to put some, you know, some power in there. Is obviously some power in there. Most of it's power, but some health. Very, very strong. Now, you do have some other options, though. You can just go into a blink shot if you don't really need it. Get this blink shot whenever you really feel like it. You get this blink shot whenever you really need that oh crap escape, especially in the mid lane. You could get it after your Sage's Ward Bloodburn Powder. Now that you have the sustain with the mana regen and the healer token, you could get the blink shot right after that. It's really good. You can use it in a emergency situation, and it only costs you another minute on top of a blink charm. Plus, it gives you a CPU's worth of power. So, I think this blink shot's worth it much more over the blink charm. For a minute longer cooldown, I really do like it. Plus, it gives you a CPU power. it's really valuable. After this Blink Shot, Sage's Ward, Elder Mage Amulet, Bloodburn Powder, Adamant Edge, you have your utility. Your utility cards next. Stinger Boost, Astro the Witch, and Toxigel. These are the 3 things that really make Iggy Scorch, I think, really actually quite viable. You can go for Ash of the Witch to, on ability hit with your turrets, with your oil, etc., with your ultimate, slow them. 150 max movement speed for 1 second. Super duper powerful, and that really creates a really unique dynamic where your turrets are slowing the enemy so that you can just play Ring Around the Rosie even more. I love it. Love it, love it. Or you can go for Stinger Boost first to empower your basic attack, because your turrets are dealing basic ability damage so often, plus your oil and stuff and your ultimate, it empowers your basic attack. So as your basic attacking, you know, while your turrets are doing damage, while your ult is doing damage, and you can basic attack as well, this is dealing damage as well. And because you're building so much power, because you're a caster, it works in the math beautifully. It's awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now, the last thing you should get probably is this Toxigel. This Toxigel, you can use it to replace Adamant Edge or Elder Mage Amulet, something like that. You know, once you maybe get some more power and some other cards, you can get this Toxigel. Now, what this Toxigel does is that, along with the Blink Shot, makes it super safe for you to easily split push and be aggressive when you are split pushing. You can absolutely be very, very aggressive while doing so. And because, you know, it'll cleanse stuff when you're taking damage. If there's a root, if a slow, once you take 400 damage within 5 seconds, boom. And you know what? This is really, really important, because it'll secure your escape into stuff like that. Plus, while you are engaging the enemy around your turrets, if there are slows or stuns, this will proc, giving you that cleanse, enabling you to continue Ring Around the Rosie, kiting the enemies around your turrets, around a team fight, stuff like that. I think Iggy Scorch really, really, really needs that mobility in order to just kind of stay alive and keep people in his turrets and keep doing his thing, because he is an overtime hero. I think this really synergizes well. And that's kind of my reasoning, my reasoning for that. Pretty sound, with a whole bunch of health that you should probably wait till the late game. Wait for this health for a little bit into the late game, or really whenever you honestly need it. Once you got those, you have 2 other cards to go into. You have the Adamant Edge for a whole bunch of power, and this Meltdown. Get this Meltdown last. This Meltdown is last. If you don't need this health, then, you know, go into the upgrades on Ash of the Witch and this Adamant Edge. And then you can go into this Meltdown, and then halfway through upgrading this Meltdown, you're like, I need that health, go into this. Get this Meltdown after you have upgraded all the power on every other card, just because that's what the math says. You need a lot of power, and I'm talking 130, 140, 150 power in order for this ability pen to really help increase your DPS and increase your damage. So save this Meltdown for last, and just kind of get this health when you need it. These upgrades here on the Ash of the Witch before this Meltdown, and there you go. So the final build here: Adamant Edge, Meltdown, Sage's Ward, Stinger Boost, Ash of the Witch, and Toxigel. Yes, you get rid of this Blink Shot in the late game simply because you're team fighting, you're with your team, and actually, you know what? Iggy Scorch with the rest of his team, he's a powerhouse. Put those turrets down in that team fight area, and you just kind of just do your thing. Those turrets tick away, and it's pretty scary. It's scary. So, anyways, you don't get the Blink Shot. You don't keep it because simply you're with your team. Hopefully not necessarily split pushing too much in the late game, because those team fights are so important, and that's why you get rid of it. Here in the early game, you can start by taking out the white camps here by the mid lane and the off lane. His turrets are phenomenal for doing that, and even if this Decker here was trying to do some funny business, I didn't really care. Now those turrets, great for doing that, and what you need to do in this lane is either use your Q or your E to take down the lane. Now, using your turrets is actually more efficient, but you have to place them very, very carefully. Now, when this next wave comes here, you'll see me place it very particularly. Now, watch where I place this. We're gonna go into drone mode here, and I placed it right behind the minions, right in the front line, right in between this front one here. Wow. The guy's getting absolutely destroyed here. And then this minion here. So you kind of put it like right behind / right like inside your front minions. The more minions there, the better. The more you can get and just get it right in there so that this Sparrow and this Decker here have a hard time getting the turret. And you'll see here in this in this early game that they actually have a tough time with it. I'm throwing out some abilities as well. Maybe not being as mana efficient as I possibly should be, but you can see here that I hold off this lane like nobody's business. Always turning around to make sure that I run away as fast as possible. Yeah, I'm being aggressive. I'm being aggressive. Maybe not as safe as I should. But again, look at that turret placement right there, so that they have a hard time. It's right in line with the Decker, unable to attack it. The Sparrow, though, I think she had a little bit of elevation to hit it. So again, very smart turret placement. Put it like right underneath the butts, right under your butt. There. And unfortunately this Rampage here lands the stun, and I'm just stun locked to hell. Oh, and I forgot. Yes, I actually did survive there. And unfortunately the Decker does escape. I swear she should have died. Now here I'm being aggressive, but then again, look at this turret placement. Unfortunately those minions died, but there you go. As you can see, this minion is blocking that Decker's basic attacks, and you can see that it fully expent its fuel, dealing damage to the minions, and that was just... I got full value out of that turret. So as you can see, he can be aggressive. His escape ability is the last one I got here. The last one that I got in this game. But I would recommend probably getting it second, besides your E ability, which is you throw out your oil that then ignites for a whole bunch of damage. You should probably get your escape second, just to be safe. But since you're in the off lane, you get a lot of hero experience pretty darn quick. So kinda doesn't matter, as long as you can just stay safe and get to level 3 pretty darn quick. In terms of upgrading, upgrading priorities here, I go for turrets as much as humanly possible. Going for the turrets increases their value insanely. It's an insane amount of value that you get for your turrets, just because it not only upgrades your turret's damage, but also increases how many you can use, and it increases and therefore it increases like their overall damage plus their individual damage. So the value there is insane. Each time you upgrade the ability, you're kind of getting like 2 or 3 times its value, kinda. So that's why I love upgrading his Q quite a bit. And as you can see, they're actually getting smart. The Decker is attacking me, drawing the minions out of my tower range. So you'll see me start to put down my turret and then just leave, so that they can't attack me and can't draw the aggro away from my turrets. And as you can see there, they were doing that. But because the Decker I'm being very careful with when she's using her stun. I can just, when I know she has her stun, I just back away. And then she kind of uses it, wastes it, and there you go. So as you can see, look at my turret, just full value there. Full value, going to town, and I'm holding off this lane very nicely. I'm trying to be a little bit aggressive. Again, I have that healer token. I have 2 healer tokens now. So I can just be an incredible sustained force here. As you can see, my tower isn't even 50% dead, while the enemy's is completely. So again, that the potential there is pretty good. I'm being aggressive. I'm being aggressive because we have our ultimate now. The ultimate does have a knockback effect. Really, it's just your burst. Although Iggy burst is fairly significant. If you can put down a turret, put down your E, and then use your ultimate all on one hero, it's actually a fairly significant amount of damage. It's actually kind of terrifying, especially if you're out of position from somebody else, and an Iggy Scorch comes down with all three of those abilities right on top of you. It's pretty scary. So watch this this Sparrow get taught a lesson. So I didn't even, did I use my E? I don't think I did. I don't think I did use my E. No, I actually didn't, and I missed it. So I took her from, what was that, pretty much full health down to almost a third. Almost, yeah, pretty much a full, see, I used my Q and then my E, and I didn't even hit. So unfortunately, I didn't land one ability and my turret was completely useless. So you can see that if you get them to run through a turret, if you place it well and you actually land your E, follow it into your ultimate with your basic attacks that you can always be using during your ultimate, there's potential. There really is potential. Plus you have your escape ability, your right click to increase your movement speed. Again, you can use it while you're ulting to increase your movement speed so that you can, you know, stay with the enemy while your ult is going down. It's pretty significant. It really is pretty significant. Now these fences aren't necessarily as great as the enemy team wants here because if they're gonna trap my allies in an area, then that means that, yeah, and then I'm pretty sure I die here, but yeah, I do. Boom. Oh no, I don't. Oh wow. Pretty clutch escape there. Those fences aren't actually that great for the enemy team. What those fences do is it determines a battle site, right? The battle will occur here, and it fortifies an area, and it's like, this is where this, I think I die? Oh, again, I'm just so pretty clutch with these escapes here. And then I just put my turrets in, you know, around that fence, in that fence, because the enemy is forced to attack that area because the allies are stuck there. It's pretty significant, and you'll see that here in this game that my turrets actually get pretty good value because the enemy, you know, is forced to fight around that fence. Now, unfortunately, we do get collapsed on very well. I was 80% out of that ultimate when that happened, so that was pretty weird. But what you might be like, oh great, Sylphin, great, you died, but 4 of the enemy team is in their right lane, enabling my Bellica here, my Crunch here, to get easy farm, to push this lane for this Rampage to get easy farm. It pulls people away. Split pushing has much more value than I think a lot of people realize. So once more here, I'm pushing this lane, forcing this Sparrow and Decker to stay here. Decker lands a fantastic stun here, and I'm taken out. But this enabled the mid lane to be taken down, for 3 of the enemy team to be over here again. Basically, Iggy Scorch is a fantastic split pusher. Here is a fantastic engagement from the enemy team. I go a little ham. I feel like my team's engaging right here, and I just get completely taken out. I didn't kind of set up a base here. My team split up completely, and I was just completely out of position. So I think we end up getting the better... the better hand of this match here, but yeah, I think we do. No, we don't. So that was just bad positioning. I should have fortified the area, but that is kind of an example of the not necessarily the greatness of Iggy Scorch. He's great at defending or pushing an objective in an open area that isn't his thing. Now here is where Iggy Scorch shines. With his team supporting a push, putting down his turrets to make sure that towers focus the turrets instead of heroes, so that the turrets provide some zone control, some pretty good passive damage that is just taken away, enabling us to happen. Unfortunately, we don't go in there, but that is just a glimpse at one of those moments where Iggy Scorch actually starts becoming a monster. So here, when you're sieging a objective, put down your turrets and put more of your turrets down. I only put one of them down, and well, two there. And maybe not take that much damage there. Let your turrets take the aggro, something like that, and then you can go in. Just layer down the area with turrets and try to not go into the tower, but go just hammer in from afar with your E, and then you can choose whether it's appropriate to go in with your ultimate. So here's a 1v2 that this Decker Fence, again, maybe isn't the best thing. The Gideon ults right on top of my turrets here. I'm continuously placing them down. I use my ultimate to try to get them out of there. I try to put my E, but I'm an idiot and can't aim. And look at that, the Gideon there, half health, and forcing the Decker, obviously, to retreat as well. If you can get into a zone, you can make it happen. There's the Kalari ult, and I was like, oh, is she coming on me? Then I can put my turret and maybe try to fight her out there. Here is a moment where I choose to go in and use my ultimate on a 3-person ultimate there. Unfortunately, that Sparrow completely melts me, and there wasn't maybe as much follow-up there as I had hoped. The Rampage, I guess, didn't go in, and his ult is fantastic, but unfortunately, you know, maybe it was a little too premature. His ult in a nice enclosed area like this in a team fight is pretty darn nasty. What I should have done again is it was premature. Should have waited and then put down these turrets here all around here to really enable some zone control, some damage, and then we could have gone in for the ultimate. When it comes to pushing lanes and being a lane bully, Iggy Scorch really is that guy. Here is a 1v2 again in this lane, and I want to showcase this because it's really quite substantial. There is the gem going, and look at this damage on this Kalari, just come insane. Unfortunately, I don't stay underneath all my towers here. Look at the zone coverage here, and then I move out of my turrets right there. I move out of my turrets, and unfortunately, not. Well, obviously, I die pretty quick. But again, that Kalari, and if that was anybody but a Rampage, who's fantastic health regen again, can obviously do quite a bit. I mean, look at that. That was just the glimpse. I had fantastic control of that area. That was mine. And, you know, they had a hard time taking it away from me. So here's a pretty good push with the rest of my team, and again, me being a little bit too aggressive. This is right here is where Iggy Scorch thrives. I totally botched that ultimate on the Kalari. I didn't think she would completely melt like that quickly, and then I walked into a tower hit and a Gideon ultimate. So, and then a Gideon Cosmic Rift. Right there, though, that is the juice. This is the juicy bits right here. This is where you want to just litter this whole area. You want to litter this whole area with turrets. Just completely litter it in there, and then you can throw down those E's that do a crazy amount of damage, and then if anybody tries to really engage on you, then you use your ultimate, which I was trying to do with that Kalari, but I didn't think that she'd get completely melted like she did there. The final push of the game. Besides the fact that I'm terrible and I take too many hits, there's a Gideon Cosmic Rift, and I take one shot from the Sparrow because I like, why am I up there? But right now I should be just littering this area with turrets. There is that Decker fence, and I'm like, okay, if you guys want to fight in here, sure. So I'm throwing down turrets in there, and here's my 3-person ultimate to really get that Kalari in there. So I'm now like, okay, well, I need to stay in my area, so now I am. I'm gonna just stand in my area here. There's my 2-3 turrets. Look how fast the Decker's going down too. Their Crunch is going ham, and though that is the control of that area, the Rampage was like, nope, I can't survive through that. And look at the rest of our team here just going ham. The Crunch is just going to town back there. But that is a little showcase. Besides my terrible play there, getting Cosmic Rift and eating a few Sparrow arrows that really should not have happened. That kind of thing is what you want. I maybe wouldn't have put the turrets down right inside the inhibitor there, because I should have maybe seen that we weren't really committing to that too much. But what I would have wanted to do there is put down those turrets. Look at that Sparrow. I landed that E on her, and it really did quite well. And at this point, I'm just trying to put down my turrets here. Look at that Kalari just get melted as well. That knockback to get him off my Bellica there, and I'm just trying to get that zone. We're just kind of creating this little area that they're choosing to walk through. Look at that slow from Asha the Witch going to town as well. Our basic attacks are getting empowered from Stinger boost. You see a little red glow from his arm here, and we just kind of march on. That sustained presence is what Iggy Scorch brings. As long as your team knows that you are fighting over a zone, and as long as you can kind of zone people, right, keep a fight to a zone, he's great. I honestly feel like he is great. Just like from Here's the Storm with Sergeant Hammer, your team has to stay focused around an area. Once Sergeant Hammer puts her things into the ground so that she is going to be immobile and get that increased damage and increased range, just like Iggy with his turrets, your team needs to fight around that area. They need to protect the tank. And I think that once you pick an Iggy Scorch, your team has to be like, protect the Iggy Scorch, protect that area, force the fight to happen in that area. And of course, a Decker is really going to help with that. And any hero really with CC to keep enemies in that area will really help an Iggy Scorch. He's kind of a niche-y pick, and it requires special team tactics, and I don't think that is a bad thing. I don't think that is a bad thing. As a, Iggy and Decker combo, it works really well. Any large AoE controlling abilities like a Gideon, that's 2 casters, but that kind of stuff works really well, I think. And I really don't mind having a hero that requires a special team strategy. Please, ladies and gentlemen, like the video if you like it, dislike it, share it with the community, please, as Iggy Scorch guides really are few and far between, as he's pretty niche-y. He's a pretty niche pick. Please subscribe if you guys found this helpful, or if you simply enjoyed, as I would love to be able to do it for you in the future. Till next time, like always, stay optimistic and positive.